among the group of us. We was in the cafeteria.
Okay, why did you want to riot?
Because we felt we were being treated unfairly. They were corralling us in the cafeteria as if we were the troublemakers.
Listen, they had the custodians out cleaning the walls, trying to get all the nasty stuff written on the walls. They were trying to get it off. And then once everybody got so riled up in the cafeteria, that's when everybody broke out and started fighting all over campus. And me, myself, they tried to say that I started it, but it wasn't true. The reason they tried to throw me out of the county because of a teacher. And they couldn't do that because my attorney, when they went to court, all the white students that they brought up on the witness stand, every one of them testified that I stopped people from doing things to them. And so they had to let me back, so they told me I can go to school from Lake Worth back the other way because they didn't want me to come back to Boca. In Atlantic, Josh Smith and Leroy Bain said they didn't want me out there. My attorney told me this. They didn't want me to Atlantic. And so Coach Coffey got me down at Delray, and I was there about a month. And I found out that I needed 3 credits to graduate in Broward County. Because Broward County, you didn't need as many credits as you did in Palm Beach. And then I ended up going to Difffield, and I graduated in December. And I did end up going to Bethune-Cookman.
Well, the point I want to make, though, is that we had tried other ways. We had human relations committees.
Yes.
We had set out and gathered at Mount Olive Baptist Church with a list of things that we felt we should have as students of, equal, I guess, footing with the other students at the community high schools. And to be honest, I really have stayed away from the community up until just a year ago because of some of this. And it's still fresh. It's still there.
Even for as the riot was going in, the difference in fighting and going on in schools, it didn't really start at Boca. It started at Delray Junior High. Reverend Taylor, Reverend Thomas, and Zach, and a couple of other white guys came along. Even Virginia Snyder, she was working with the student. And they had an episode at Delray Junior High. And we came together, the white group and the black group, the ones they thought was causing the problem. We had meetings, and we ended up they ended up ordering a sweatshirt, and all of us became friends for the rest of the year after it happened one time out there. Then they separated everybody and went to Boca, and that's where the problem began. But if you go through the history, a lot of people at our age group don't like talking about it, because even after the riot went on, the next day, a lot of the students got together in their cars and went back to Boca.
And that's what you keep speaking of.
With guns. And they got in trouble. A lot of them went to jail because they got caught with those guns on that end. And a lot of people still think that they went down with guns and came back. No, they got arrested with their guns.
But your first question is whether it was a good thing. As a country, we had a Declaration of Independence since 1776 that say everyone is created equal and has the right to search for happiness, to find it somehow. And we say that we want togetherness and unity, and everybody's free to find that. So eventually there was going to have to be some togetherness brought in the school system because it was definitely unequal. Our textbooks were tatters. Our teachers tried their hardest. I mean, we loved Carver Junior Senior High, don't get me wrong. I don't know how many of you graduated there or taught there on the side. So we loved that school. That school defined us, and we were identified through that. But we weren't getting a fair shake. Going to Boca,
we had not only the white teachers not wanting to teach us properly, we had a lot of blacks not wanting to teach us. They didn't want blacks there because even at the Atlantic, like Leroy Bain was the principal, and he knew all those kids because he came from Carver, and he would curse them out, and send them home and make them leave school and just turn them against going to school. And that wasn't fair either. So it wasn't just one-sided. But they were trying to impress the people over here. Because I didn't never say nothing to Josh Smith until last year. I told him I was grown and I could let him know now. I don't have to respect him like I did when I was a kid. So I had to let him know he was wrong. And I knew he was wrong, but he always thought all those years I didn't know about it because I never spoke of it. Because my mom always taught me, respect your elders. But after I got the age I am now, I felt I could speak my mind.
And you know what? I'm here wondering if that is not something that's still eating you, or that is, you know, that is with you, within you, that you cannot. What could you do to get rid of that?
And it's not just the two of us, because we talk to classmates.
No, I mean personally, you can only speak for yourself.
Yes.
How is that affecting you today
sit at
as a
59 and
grown
60.
man who has been married 30-some years? You still have all of these feelings in you. How is that affecting you
But
now?
I let it roll off me when people approach me. I just let them know now. Before I kept quiet, but now I feel there's more room out here than in me, and I will let you know how I feel. And she would let it ball up in her because she's that type. But I just can't, you know. Even trying to work together with people, they pretend everything all right. Because I did have a person at the time I was going through the changes of going to court and all that. It was Miss Beverly Ridweed. She got an attorney also to help my attorney, Malcolm Cunningham, out of Palm Beach.
What was his
He
name?
helped me. Malcolm Cunningham.
Malcolm?
Yes. He's still here. His son, matter of fact, I deal with TJ now, TJ Jr. The two brothers, they took my case. And they didn't charge my mother anything. And Miss Ridweed paid a lawyer also. And when it boiled down, because I did, like everybody keeps saying, well, you got thrown out the county. But I had a private tutor from Palm Beach County to come to my house every day. So if I was thrown out of school, I wouldn't have got that tutor coming to the house.
Right. And what
But a
was
lot of people don't know this.
what was the nature of the case now?
Well, the teacher, I was in line in the cafeteria, and my money had fell out my hand, and I went to get it. But when I came back, the line was moving forward, and just as I got to the door, she threw the arm up, and I put my hand up to keep him in the face. And then she tried to say I threw her on the wall. But students from the school went to court and testified. Not only black, white students testified. The only name I can recall right away is Marla Ivory. She was the main one because I had let her get in front of me when we didn't get in line. And she told them, everybody got on the stand and testified in my behalf, so they didn't do nothing, so they had to let me back in.
But I guess the main point, I was just anxious to come to the forum, and I'm sorry we hijacked it, I did not mean to do that.
No.
But I just wanted to come to the forum to try to get a feel for what you all felt the integration had accomplished. I know personally, I was raised in the church across the street. And I know that if I had done something in school when I was at Carver, my mom, who worked at Carver anyway, because she was in the cafeteria, but she was going to find out right away.
Right.
And then if she didn't find out at school, she was going to find out at church. Or she was going to find out some kind of meeting. And I knew that the community had me, regardless. Not that I was a good teacher, so it wasn't like I was out there trying to do anything. But once the integration began, there was no cohesiveness. And the teachers didn't necessarily know my parents, didn't even care if they got to know my parents. So I don't know that there was any kind of connection there. And I think that our students are suffering from that because I've just moved back from Central Florida in Orlando, and I taught for 15 years in Orange County. And I would do that kind of calling and trying to, make a connection. And I would have parents asking me, well, why are you calling me? When they're with you, that's your job. That's your responsibility. See, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up with, we're going to do this together.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember who the principal was at Boca High?
Yeah, Harry Benson.
He just recently passed away.
Harry Benson. Because I had an incident with him and my mother, and he was trying to tell her how I carry myself around the campus, not discussing what was going on, because a guy named Corbin, Corbin worked in the, he worked with the school board. And his son and I had a confrontation after football practice. And because he worked in the school board, he was gonna get me suspended, not his son. And when it boiled down, the coaches told him, no, both of them will be suspended. So neither one of them got suspended because Corbin worked with the school board, in which that wouldn't fail, because when you fight, you get suspended. But that's that's what we went into at the school. And it went on. We just go to school and say nothing. And that was fine with them. And they erased everything.
We tried to encourage more graduates to come, but obviously could not do it.
It's tough subject to talk about.
Yes.
Anybody else want to talk about that? So, I don't have an agenda, because as I said, we're just having a personal, private conversation, so we're moving from one topic to the other. But, thank you for your input. Anybody else have anything? Okay, I see a hand back there.
That was such an interesting story.
It was.
Yeah, that was such an interesting story. I grew up in Fort Pierce. The exact same story can be told about our integration experience. The difference, though, is that what happened in Fort Pierce was the two schools, the white school, the black school, were both closed as high schools, and they built a new high school. We still fought. When we went to the new school, Fort Pierce Central High School, my class, 1971, was the first graduating class of that school, that new school.
It was Harlem Academy.
No, Lincoln Park Academy was
Lincoln
the
Park.
black school.
That's it.
We played y'all.
I knew you would say that. Yeah,
But we fought because neither one of us, neither one of the student bodies wanted to do this thing. We wanted to graduate from Lincoln Park Academy, but it was in our 11th grade year that was our last year at that school. And I suppose the white students felt the same way about Dan McCarty High School. But it had to happen, I suppose, because we had the same tattered books. I didn't know that the books were hand-me-downs, though, because I just didn't understand why the names in the books we didn't recognize, because we were getting books from, I didn't realize that till I was in college. Oh, that's what was happening. We were getting hand-me-down books, because Becky Sue's name was in my class, and we were such a small community. We knew everybody at our school, so who was Becky Sue? Right. She obviously was somebody from Dan McCarty, and we were getting their books. It was the same story, it was just a tough time.
What year?
Ours was 71. It was a little bit before you, but the freedom of choice thing, the freedom of choice integration happened, though, many years before that. I was in 6th grade when that happened, and we were going into 7th grade, and we had all these speeches about, we had the choice to go to those schools. My parents, like a lot of parents, said, no, you're going to stay over here at our school. You're not going. Because there was a lot of mistrust, I'm sure. Parents knew better in terms of what should happen, but some did. Some did choose to go to, of course, no white students chose to come to our school. But why would they? I mean, our schools were substandard. It's the truth. But same story. That's all I wanted to say. I was just sitting here thinking, deja vu, just listening to you, because it's the same story.
Yes.
Ms. Yvonne.
Okay, my name is Yvonne Lee Odom, and let me take you back before all of that. I was a student at Carver High School in 9th grade because when segregation was here, the black kids from Lake Worth, Boynton, Delray and Boca all went to Carver High School.
Pearl City.
Pearl City, sorry. Because Rosetta Emerson was my very good friend.
That's right.
And in 1954 is when the Board of Education said you should integrate. Now, Palm Beach County had not done anything about that. And Attorney Holland, and that's Holland Fulton, that's who that school board building is named after, filed the lawsuit. Now, by the time the ruling came down, his child was out of school. And from what I understood, some citizens out of West Palm Beach, with the urban